Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. This is the online grad open house. This session will focus exclusively on our MFA printmaking program. It will be just about under an hour. I do have to end the session at around 1:55 today to start the MFA photography session. But hopefully we'll be able to get all your questions answered in that time. You can learn a little bit about the program. With us today, we have some students currently enrolled in the MFA program, along with the graduate program director, Tyanna Buie. Tyanna, if you just want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. I am Tyanna Buie, the graduate program director here at RISD, and I'm looking forward to talking more about our program and introducing you to a couple of our grads who'll speak when I'm done with my spiel.
That's great. All right, I'll stop sharing my screen if you have anything you want to show.
Yes, and one second.
Yeah, no problem. I love the printmaking building. It's so pretty.
Okay. Yes. Thank you all so much. So yes, I just have to have a photo of the Benson Hall. It's one of our it's one of the most gorgeous buildings on campus, I believe. And also have like a nice little shot from, hold on, sorry. Why am I not able to move? From probably now. And there we go. So a beautiful shot of what fall looks like in Providence, Rhode Island. So for those who are from here, you're like, this is normal for you. For those who are like, what does it look like right now? This is a really great shot of Benson Hall from the street angle. So in our program, we currently have 7 first years and 6 second-year graduate students who are undertaking their master's in our program. And so our program, if you look at the curriculum, we make sure there's room for electives, but also the courses that are required is our graduate printmaking 1 and 2. So 1 in the fall, and part 2 is in the spring. And that course is pretty much like you get to have you get assigned a studio space and you get to come in and think about your practice and where you want to go with your focus. And as our faculty, my other colleagues and I, we work really hard to collaborate with you more than tell you what you need to do. You get to make those decisions and you get freedom in working in that course. So it's a really amazing course that leads you to your thesis, which we'll talk about in a minute. Also, there's a graduate printmaking projects course that is taken with other students in other departments, such as painting, and printmaking kind of works together, and they take this really amazing course that teaches you different processes that maybe you didn't get at all, or maybe in undergrad at all, but you get to learn some experimental processes, some traditional processes. And then of course there's lots of seminar options that you could take, not only at RISD, but at Brown as well. And also liberal arts course. So you could also swap out a liberal arts for another elective. And we really push our grads to take courses that are based in their research, practice, and interest. And I think that's something that's pretty unique for us because we're like, what do you need to do for you that is going to really push your practice and motivate you? Those are the classes that we want to make sure you're aligning yourself with. If you look at the second year, also winter session. Winter session is another course where you get to say you like, I really want to take a a textile course. Well, you can. And so in the winter session, there's a lot of courses offered. And also, if you want to study abroad and you want to leave for a minute, but you don't want it to impact your spring or your winter semesters or your fall semesters, winter session is a great time to come in and say, you know what, I can either leave for 5 weeks and do this, or I could take this course. And I really wanted to study this, but I just can't get it all in. That's where winter session really is a great opportunity. And then you look at the second year, and second year you are in graduate printmaking 3, where you're really focusing on your thesis exhibition for your upcoming. Also, you see there's more electives thrown in there for you to, once again, if there's courses, if you want to double major, if you want to concentrate, if you realize like I really like this thing that I was introduced to at RISD, you can really kind of hone in your curriculum and make it your own through electives. So we keep it pretty open and also all of the credits needed to graduate with your MFA are 66 credits. We'll jump down and show you what the studios look like. And so if you have an opportunity to come in person, great, but we do have some photos and we're going to be updating more of the images as we go, but we definitely have an amazing intaglio studio or class that we have 3 etching presses, and we have, of course, and sometimes, and also if you look at the lithography courses, we'll get into that. A lot of times relief and lithography are in the same room, or sometimes lithography or relief is in intaglio. If you look at, so in lithography, we have lots of stones, and we have about, I want to say, 6 lithography presses. Screen printing is another one where like plenty of space and room for multiple students to work at once, but also we have a large textile table in there for those who are interested in working on fabrics. We also have a tech lab in-house. The campus has a tech lab as well, but sometimes it's easier to just work in-house with if you have technological needs. So we have a nice Epson printer, we have a 3D cutter, we have a laser printer. So we have things that are like, okay, I don't want to have to travel too far to get that thing that I need. And also we have letterpress, and letterpress has in that area, there's some mini studios for our majors, but we have a great letterpress studio, and also paper making. I noticed that a lot of students, of course, like they will make their paper sometimes before they even purchase their paper. So it's pretty awesome. The other cool thing that really I think helps with our grads is that we have a CIT shop, and it's basically a private print shop just for the graduates in printmaking, but it's also shared with graduates in textile. So but the printmaking equipment is specifically just for our grads because it's in a space that is also housed where their personal studios are. And also next to the CIT printmaking shop is also the wood shop. That sculpture unit everybody pretty much uses, but it's right there. So if you are expanding your practice a bit and working a little bit more 3D and sculptural, as a grad, everything is in-house and really is situated in a great space for you. And so this is the Fletcher building, another beautiful building that that you'll have access to, and where your studios will be. And this studio is actually shared with photography, painting. Lots of grads from other departments. In that basement area is where the CIT print shop is, that's shared with textile. There's also a really cool grocery store restaurant at the bottom. So this is just a view of some of the spaces. Each of the spaces in this building are pretty unique. So that's the beauty of these 100-year-old buildings. And also we have a space that is shared as far as crit space. So if you need a space just to photograph your work or just have your work exist out of the classroom structure, there's a nice space for you there. Thesis exhibitions are also, once again, that's required upon your right before you graduate, actually, to put together your culminating show. And the great thing about these exhibitions is that they are based on what you want them to be on. So some students, some grads will maybe treat it like a retrospective, and they'll have everything they've done, right, in their experience in those 2 years or year and a half, right? Or some people will highlight a specific type of process they were doing or a topic. And so it kind of, it moves with how you feel. So this is the Rhode Island Convention Center, and all of the graduates have basically a mini graduates show platform across all of the disciplines. Just pretty amazing. It's like an art fair. And this is just some grads who graduated last year, highlighting their work, just so you can see the different, like, what does the work look like coming out of our program? And if you can see, it's very interdisciplinary, very expansive. And we have this former student, Joanna, did video work. She did performance. So all of the things you see here are basically residue from the performance. And so we think about printmaking, we think about the theory, I think, more than the tradition, right? So the theory of printmaking is anything reproducible is a print. So you think about that, you can expand your practice in ways that push the tradition a bit, but we also have students who are absolutely focused in tradition, which is both are appreciated and acknowledged. Also, we have this other student just to show you installation, some former students, exhibitions. So you get a nice little gist of like, oh, okay, this is printmaking can be, installation. It can be video, it can be performance. It can, but how are you utilizing the printed image, right, within your practice and the conversations you want to have as an artist? So there's a lot of lines that get crossed, which I think is just great about art in general, because if you're thinking about your practice, it will sometimes push you out of your comfort zone. Um, If you also notice, like multiples is really a thing, of course, in printmaking. Um, Using found materials. Critique is also really important and pushed in our program. It's not enough to just make the work. We definitely want to utilize the 2 years really, really well and get as much feedback on our work as possible. And we'll talk about how we really push and engage feedback. Just a minute. So you'll notice, like, book cards, a lot of that work comes in. And there is a program that actually we will be bringing back, which is called RISD Editions, which is pretty awesome. And we bring in artists, well-known artists at different various parts of their career, and we will do a limited edition with them, and basically like a professional print shop. So it's one of the benefits of being a printmaker is being able to share and collaborate with other artists. Showing you some highlights from that program. And we do have a very beautiful, robust visiting artist lecture series. And when we bring visiting artists, we also have them come in and work with the grads directly to do studio visits. And sometimes they show up in the critiques and also in the thesis show. So, and just a list of just some lists. We got to be updating this because we bring about 4 visiting artists per semester. So it's about 8 visiting artists per year to RISD to specifically come to work with the grads. And so if you're thinking like, okay, well, where are our grads now? Well, a lot of our grads either go into teaching. We have some alumni running around RISD, which is awesome. But you have Brown, Spelman, Mass College, Auburn University, Hope. And then you have jobs in the field. So a lot of people will go work in super professional printmaking studios. So Crown Point, Pace Prince, Lower East Side, Tamara. We have a huge connection with RISD alum in general in New York and in the East Coast, but they're pretty much filtered throughout, I would say, the country and the globe, which is pretty awesome. Also residencies. A lot of our alumni go to residency programs, and then some, do other things a little outside of the field, which I think is great. And so I think that's my presentation was shorter than I thought. So just to give you a little overview of that. And I wanted to introduce 2 current grads who are in their first year. I think it'll be great to just hear from some grads in their perspective. And so yeah, so I will stop sharing my screen. And I think Maya, would you like to go first?
Sure, I can go first.
So Maya's is in her first year, and you can introduce yourself. And let me just get out of here.
Sounds good. Hi, everyone. It's so good to be with all of the prospective grad students. My name is Maya. I'm from California. Grew up there until the end of high school, and then I went to Dartmouth for undergrad. And my background is a little bit on the non-traditional side, I guess. I went to medical school after undergrad, and I graduated in 2022. And then I started surgical residency. So I'm a general surgery resident at the Brigham. But we get 2 years off between our second and third clinical years. And in undergrad, I was a studio art major, and I wanted to keep doing it. I wanted to figure out a way to combine the two. I think arts and medicine is an up and coming field, or I guess niche within the field. And so I wanted to kind of explore that. And I did a lot of some printmaking in undergrad, and I wanted to keep doing that. So I applied to RISD's, thank you, RISD's MFA program in printmaking. And I was very fortunate to get in. So first of all, thank you to RISD for that. But I'm really happy to be here. And I think I chose to apply to RISD, and ultimately chose RISD because I think the opportunities are pretty much endless here. You can collaborate with any department. All of the faculty are so wonderful and welcoming and willing to kind of show you their practice and talk about how you can kind of develop the studio practice and the career that you want to. I think I've gotten just so much encouragement for my aspiration or dream to be a surgeon and to be an artist. So I really, really appreciate that. And it's been an awesome first semester. So yeah, I think I'm really excited to keep going and see where my artistic practice takes me and see how I can combine the two going forward.
Awesome. Thank you, Maya. We're very happy to have you. Also, it's just so we know it's not typical what Maya has undertaken. So I don't want you to feel like, oh my goodness, so I have to be a surgeon. Just though it's very rare. And so we're very happy to have Maya. And then we want to introduce Elisa. And then and if there's questions from the audience, I'm sure they'll ask all three of us. Okay.
Hey, my name is Elisa. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I got my undergraduate degree in painting, printmaking, and drawing, and I also have a degree in psychology. So I started off as a biochem major and realized that was not for me. So I switched over to psych, and I started to take painting classes just for fun, and that's really how I got into the whole art thing. So I've only been doing it for like 3 or 4 years, but the growth has been like really exponential. And yeah, I don't know why I chose RISD. I'm just be honest. Like, it was really on a whim. I applied like a day before the application was due, just because, like, I was just looking up top grad schools, and RISD was like #1. So I was like, why not? I didn't think I was gonna get in, but then I ended up getting in, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So yeah, I mean, I think what really like pushed me towards this place was Oded. He's a 2nd year grad. He gave me a tour of RISD, and like really made me feel welcome. So I felt very comfortable coming here, and it's been a great experience ever since. Like, we just had a potluck yesterday, and we were at each other's house till like 1 o'clock in the morning. So it's like a big family. So I was feeling very lost, very sad without my family, but this has really become a second family here for me. So yeah. And are we supposed to show our work? Do you want me to show them?
I think, well, why not? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, I have some prints sitting here by me, but this is like before I got to RISD. All of my other stuff is a little too big to show, but here's some screen prints that was just in the grad show that we just did. And Maya has great work too. I don't know why I shouldn't show it, but and here's just like a woodcut that I did. Woodcut is really my thing here, so yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Thank
you. Maya with getting a surgical residency.
Okay, first of all, thank you, Lisa, for and I wanted both of the grads to just come and be very honest and transparent about their experience. But the beauty is that we do have so many people coming from different walks of life, and I think that's absolutely appreciated. And so it's not like a cookie cutter. This is how this happens. It's all unique, I think, based on your experience. So I love how everybody comes for different reasons. Like, some people are like, I just woke up and was like, this is the day. And I chose this school because some people choose schools because they look good. That's it. And so I love it. And some people are very calculated. I was like, no, this is what I wanted for this many years. So I really appreciate, Lisa, your story of like how you got here, but you're here, and we're very happy to have you. So I think it's a good time to take questions, and because we know we can't cover everything unless we have some questions that go in. And thank you so much that we do have a printmaking Instagram. So check us out if you're looking like what else we do on a deeper cultural level. What is the culture like for our department? It's really good to see it in images. But yeah.
Great. Feel free to start typing your questions in the Q&A section of Zoom. We'll leave the rest of the time for questions. So this is your time before the application to get any questions about the application, the program, student experience. We're happy to answer questions about Providence. There's no wrong question, and most likely somebody has the same question as you. So feel free to start typing those in. We do have one question already. You mentioned double majoring. Do you have any students that have or currently double majored in printmaking and painting? Do you have any information on what's that's like?
I will say I haven't seen that in painting necessarily, but it is possible. The thing is that it's I'm seeing more students maybe double majoring in teaching, learning, and like the Department of Teaching and Learning. A lot of our grads are, if they're interested in teaching, they think about, okay, I want a really great pedagogy. And so they are, it's not, you can't do it all in 2 years. So people are learning that like, so maybe they can't major because you are capped on how much, credits you get. So they are maybe concentrating or finding departments that maybe give them a concentration that they could just take the core credits in lieu of versus in addition to, because you don't want to have to be here for all this extra time spending more and more money. So people are I think our grads are very practical, but what they do is they do align themselves with another faculty in another department, and they will do independent studies. So if they can't do a direct major just because it's going to put them here too long or put them over the credits, they will align themselves, and then they find themselves working with a lot of faculty across the institution on an independent study basis. That's actually more typical. I think we're, as an institution, we're looking into what does it really look like to be a double major as a grad. But thank you for that question.
Thank you. And I also want to piggyback, the concentrations are great. There's a certificate for collegiate teaching. If that's something that you want to do, a lot of grads do add that to their program as well. All right. That's great. How many students will you recruit this year?
Ooh. Well, because space is limited, like literal. I would like to have as many as however, they're like, where are they gonna go? So we do have we have about, if we have 13, I believe we have room for 15. So we typically like to recruit what we have exact room for. So it's our program is smaller, a little bit more intimate, which people also love and appreciate, especially if they're coming from a bigger school, or they're just like, I like the intimate, like smaller departments for like what Elisa's saying, like the potlucks, so we treat each other like family. We see each other all the time in a good way. And it's like, so I think we definitely are sticking to the number that is appropriate for who can get here. So we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. So yeah.
That's great.
Great question.
All right. Do printmaking grad students have the opportunity to teach undergraduates?
Excellent. Glad you brought that up. I will be updating my PowerPoint for next year to include teaching. So yes, all of our grads have an opportunity to teach their own course over winter session. So winter session is 5 weeks long, and it's a really exciting that they're all super like excited about it, as they should be. You can either create your own curriculum from scratch, your own course, or you can use what we already have. The people taking those courses are typically undergrads, mostly undergrads, and you will have some grads from different departments that also, printmaking is highly coveted. It's one of the departments that is like the heartbeat of the campus. So everybody's like, I want in, I want in. So the good thing is we have such diverse students coming in through our building all the time. So if you're teaching just in a winter session, you're going to have a beautiful, diverse pool of undergrad, grads, and maybe an instructor who just wants to take a class. So yes, you will.
All right, great. And I'm just dropping a link in the chat that just goes into more about teaching as practice and more information about that. All right. Should I include the works in my portfolio as well as wall-mounted pieces or scanned images?
I think when it comes to, if you're doing a piece that is beyond traditional, right? So if you have a piece that's 22 by 30 and it goes on a wall, great. But if you have like an installation, you have a piece that is really about scale, I think it's absolutely great to get an image of thinking about scale. So maybe throw someone in the image, right? who's looking at it, and you can take a photo like that and put that also in your portfolio, as well as maybe a close-up. So we do like to see a variety of how your images look, because we're not there. So make it like we're there, you know? So I always think like, all right, make sure that we know the scale. If scale is important. If it's a small piece and it's just, that's totally fine just to have that image. So both. Oh, and I want to go back to scanned images. If your images are small, like if you have a scanner bed that is like, I don't know, 16 by 20, you have pieces that are 10 by, 14. Definitely use a scanner. I'm old school. I love a scanner. If it can fit on a scanner, do it, because the images look so much crisp. It's so nice when it's directly on the scanning bed. But if you have to use your phone or whatever you have to take photos, that also works.
Does each candidate get assigned a grad committee, or is collaboration mentorship with faculty more fluid?
Ooh, excellent question. And yes, in both. Yes, and yes. So we do not assign you a committee. You choose your committee. And we just spoke with the grads about this process. It's much better if you identify faculty that you want to work with and you want to look deeper into your work and you want to learn from, versus us assign that for you. And also, so that makes it more fluid, but you do have to have a committee for your thesis, during your thesis time. There also is a writing component that comes with your thesis, and also a handmade book that you make that goes into the RISD museum collection, which is really awesome. And so a lot of the students will choose to do the book, which is basically their writing. They make an art book instead of a direct paper. So there are some things that are required, but it's 100% you have autonomy. We do not want to do a top-down measure. We want to make sure that you are doing what you want to do and you leave very happy with what you did at RISD.
Great. And I'm just going to drop a link to the RISD Digital Commons, where you can see the written component of the thesis. Theses.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. And you can also see the May thesis show online as well. For some reason, my browser just doesn't like that link, and it won't open it right now. But if you just search RISD thesis, it will pop up.
Awesome.
All right, perfect. Great. Keep the questions coming. Wonderful question. What are you looking for in a prospective candidate? That's question one. There's a couple questions here, but we'll start with that one first. That's a big question.
That is great. And it will be a committee, so it will not be just me, which is, I bring my colleagues Tyanna and Andrew and Meg, and we all together. And what we're looking for, I think some people assume we're looking for you to have a traditional printmaking background, but that's not always the case. Printmaking is not as accessible outside of the academic institution. I understand that. So if you only learned it in a workshop, that's fine. I think we're looking for someone who has an understanding of art practice in general, contemporary art, but also have, I don't know, like have a hunger for printmaking as a field. And maybe you don't know it all, but you're like, I'm hungry to know more. And maybe Elisa and Maya can speak to maybe like the why printmaking. You could have went to grad school for anything, right? What made you want to continue? Like Maya, you had a taste of it and you're like, I need to do more. And Elisa was like, same thing. And I need to really push my practice, right? So we are looking for candidates who, prospective candidates who thinking about expanding the field that they know. It's whatever they think they know, like how do you push that and where you could take it.
That's great. Do applicants have to come from a traditional printmaking background?
No.
No.
And that goes back, because once again, it's not easy to do this practice if you have never been exposed to it. But there are ways that we look at printmaking beyond its tradition. And I know we had people who applied that have a graphic design background, right? And I have a graphic design background and metalsmithing, but and you can tell that printmaking made sense for me based on the way that I look at images, discuss them, and show them in my work. So that's why we're looking a little bit more expansive than this very traditional, rigid way of printmaking. And that's like, people think that's the key, but I'm like, there's more, right? There's how you approach it, how you think about it.
Also, if you don't mind
Oh, thank you.
interjecting, but Oh yeah. I was just gonna say I'm not a traditional like printmaker either. I was like a musician for majority of my life. I stopped my second year of college. I played the violin and viola, so I'm not like typical either. I also when I applied, I also like brought in my sculptures and my video work as well as like my installations. So I don't know if that made my application stronger personally, but I just think it's good to show a variety of things to show that you can do different things as well as, I don't know, like you're interested in other stuff, but also you really do love printmaking. So
That's good. And I will say, you know, I think lean into your strengths, right? So if some people have a very beautiful traditional printmaking background and they will feel confident applying with that. But if you're like, I don't have that, but I have this, going back to what Elisa's saying, lead with what you have and then trust that you can, and then just think about how do I look at this as print? Now, if it's too far over, we might say you should be in that department, right? If it's too much not in printmaking, we will give a nice little recommendation. It happens. People apply and they go, they're better off over there. And we get people and they go, Tyanna, I think this is a printmaker, right? So we definitely have nice long debates about how this works and how we can make sure we're making sure that it's not just this cookie cutter approach.
And
I think
then,
one of the things, sorry to interrupt, I
Oh,
think
yeah,
one
go
of the things that I really love about the faculty is that they're so open to the intersection of mediums. And like the way that we talk about work has to do with kind of like both the traditional aspects of printmaking and how it's an iterative process and it's very physical, but then also how we redefine printmaking. And that's like one of the things that I really love. And I didn't have those discussions before. And so being introduced to that new way of thinking about printmaking has been wonderful. So I think we celebrate both the very traditional aspects and the completely new sort of like experimental ways of thinking about printmaking.
Thank you. Greatly summed up.
and then there's a third question here, and it was asked another time as well about funding opportunities for domestic and international students, and I can help answer this one. So fellowships and assistantships are available to all graduate students. This includes international and domestic students. When you're filling out the application, after you've submitted it in your applicant status portal, there'll be a form. This is the RISD Institutional Financial Aid Form. It'll be very important that all applicants, domestic and international, fill out this form. This just indicates that you want financial aid, super important, and gives us more information about your financial background and the type of aid that you'll need. An aid is merit and need-based, and it's awarded at the point of application. So when you get your acceptance letter, you'll get your award letter as well. I just do want to do a little plug. If you're curious on learning more about this, we have a session tomorrow with the Student Financial Services Office, and they'll be doing a deep dive on how to fund your graduate education. Here's a link with more information on this as well. A lot of our MFA students, in addition to fellowships, do get assistantships. This varies from program to program. Usually they're range from $2,500 to $5,000. And again, this is awarded by the program. I'm not sure, Tyanna, if you wanted to talk a little bit about how the assistantship works for printmaking.
Yeah, we definitely have a few options. Of course, it's like TAing in the winter session. Also, we have monitors. So because printmaking is this well-oiled, beautiful machine, but it needs people. So a lot of our grads are also monitors. So there's so many different avenues to get funding through your entire time here. So we keep options open. Also, like I was telling Elisa, we're gonna need somebody to run the Instagram and run the social. So getting and also making unique fellowship opportunities that based on our need in our department. And because it's unique per department, things are not the same for everybody, but we make sure there's room for you guys to get as much of the funding covered as you can as possible that we can do.
Thank you. All right, next question. This question's for me. Hi. Are we allowed to apply to 2 programs at once, or do we have to pick only one per application period? Unfortunately, you do have to just pick one. I know that's really challenging, and I'm hoping that this online open house is helping you with deciding. and narrowing your focus on which ones you want to apply for. And we're happy to help you through that process. My colleague, the Associate Director for Graduate Admissions, Molly Pettingill, is happy to meet with you to see if you need further guidance on narrowing your focus on where to apply. But yes, sadly, you can only choose one. All right. Can you apply to, all right, I just answered this question as well. Yep, just one. All right. That can't be the last question. Here we go. Yes, keep them coming. We still got some more time. Can you talk a bit about RISD within the community in Providence? Great question.
Ooh. Oh, should I? Elisa, Maya? It's probably harder for the first year, the first semester, first year grads because they're still getting their footing. I'm also new to Providence, so I'm in my second year at RISD. Let's see. Well, there's a lot you can do in Providence. I'll say that. There is a local print shop, so I always think about that whenever I, as a printmaker, move from one place to another. I'm like, is there a local community where print is happening? There are also a lot of spaces where artists have studios, and they actually, like, the artists who stay here, live here, are side of the academic community where they have spaces and studios, and they have shows and put on events. And also, I'm trying to think, of course, there's the Fire Festival, which is like one of my favorite things, but it's seasonal. And that's where all of the vendors come out. So you can see like what businesses are around. If you're like, I don't know anything about, I'm new to here. And so there's a huge festival that happens outside on the riverfront, which is pretty awesome. And you get to, and RISD does partner with them, and Brown does too. And so I feel like as a faculty, I'm not all in the sorts either, but because also Providence is tiny. So a lot of times people will come here and they'll end up going to Boston, they'll go to New York, and then all of these, we all just kind of intersect. And so and maybe if Elisa and Maya want to jump in and think about anything in Providence, I'm seeing it from a different perspective. So I'm curious to see it from a graduate student perspective.
And I can add a little bit to that too. There are like opportunities, for example, within the RISD Museum, they do lots of activities with students from schools in the surrounding Providence area. I'm going to drop a link to that as well. There's opportunities for students to be involved in that kind of educational process that the RISD Museum organizes. And I'm not sure how much other programs are involved in it, but we do have this program that is involved with the TLAD program. It's the POD program. It's Project Open Door, and it allows students, kids from Providence schools to get involved in RISD programming. So if that's something you want to do, there's definitely opportunities to get engaged into the community. RISD is out there where the campus is embedded within the city of Providence. So it's part of our community as as much as Providence is part of RISD and vice versa. But does anybody else want to add anything to that? Nope. Okay. All right. Here. Next question. Can you speak a little bit about, okay, I answered that question. All right, that question came in a couple times. Perfect. All right, keep the questions coming. We're still here. And we're happy to answer questions about like what it's like to move to Providence. How, we share our campus with Brown University. People can cross-register at Brown if that's something that you want to do. Many of our graduate students live off campus, and they share apartments with Brown students as well. And yeah.
And I will say it's, I went to, like I've been a part of college towns pretty much my whole academic career. And I will say it's easy to just be in your college bubble. And I feel like the question you guys are asking are more about like, what is the community like? And it's like, community is so intertwined with RISD and with Brown that sometimes it's hard for me to know the difference. And then I'm like, okay, well, then I see the difference and I'm like, all right. But then there's all these programs that RISD offer for the community so that we're not just in this siloed space. So, for instance, pre-college courses, there's a lot of, I actually did a lot of talks with some high schoolers since I've been here, and they came to RISD and I gave them a tour. So it's such a, and I think people will utilize RISD for its museum for sure, coming just to do visits. So I think that's something that we love for our grads to, when they come here, to think about community in a different way. I think that's another thing. If you're like, I wonder how I can help make the community connected. That's something to think about. Is the cost of living high? Ooh, ooh. It's the East Coast.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that we are on the East Coast, so things are generally more expensive than other places across the country. Are we cheaper than Boston? Yes. Are we cheaper than New York? Yes. So if that's something that you're trying to think about, and then if you want to branch out of the Providence, you can get cheaper apartments just in areas like East Providence, Pawtucket. Those are other communities. If you have a car, RISD students can take the RIPTA, the public bus system, for free. There are options to make it more affordable here for yourself.
And a lot of people tend to get a roommate. I think that's like the number one thing that, and there's a lot of, don't we have a resource at RISD for housing off campus? And there's like a bulletin board that goes up and it's like looking for a roommate, looking for a roommate. So people tend to do the buddy system here just to keep things in their budget.
And if you are admitted, we will do a bunch of onboarding webinars. We'll do one with housing, and they'll go through all the different options for external housing, because many of our grad students do live off campus. There's a limited number of on-campus dorms or apartments for grad students. Okay. See here. When you talked about coursework, it wasn't clear if students are allowed to take classes in other fields. For example, if printmaking student is also interested in textiles, can they access the resources and classes in that area?
Yes, I will say that the only tricky part is that every department has requirements within their department. And so if you're a major within, we are still majored at RISD within our department. So the majors in every department gets priority, right? So if there's a course that is required in their field and you want to take it, it just may fill up. And so a lot of times there is negotiations that are happening with our grads. We're like, listen, this is about last year. I really want to take this class. And then the instructor will be like, okay, if someone drops out, I'll let you in. So we do a lot of waitlisting at RISD. It's a lot of, and it's just because if they have to take it to graduate, they're going to put, of course, they're not going to make like say, hey, you get in and push our students back, right? So it's the same in printmaking, but you absolutely can take, and from our perspective, we push students out of our department. And then we also have helped get students into areas when it got it's too filled. We're like, okay, well, this student really, really wants it. So we work hard from our end to get you where you want to go. I'll say that. It's not always easily reciprocated just because of the boundaries within another department. And we can't speak for that. We can only speak for ours. So we work hard. It has not been like a major issue where people left like, I never got to, that hasn't happened. People tend to, we find places for you that you really want to go.
Also, I think Tyanna mentioned this at some point, but winter session is awesome for taking classes in other departments. I'm taking a textiles course and I'm really excited. So.
Yeah, this is true. Winter session. I feel like I think winter session could be a little less competitive than the traditional semesters. Yes, so that's good.
And that's what makes RISD unique, is that winter session is required. It's required.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, no time off, but it is a robust programming. A lot of people take advantage of it. Some people take classes, some people travel. So it depends on what what your goal is.
You get 2 weeks off before a winter session for the grads. But they love it. They love it. Wouldn't have it no other way. Yeah.
All right. We still got some more time. We have about 7 more minutes. Any other questions? I guess you guys were very thorough.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything I am leaving out that will be helpful. What I didn't, because I need to update my PowerPoint, but I do want to talk about exhibitions. there's so many opportunities for our grads to have exhibitions throughout the campus. We have a printmaking triennial, so that's every 3 years. And then we have the printmaking biennial. And the printmaking triennial is for all of printmaking, grads and undergrad. And then the printmaking biennial is just for the grads. So that way you always have at some point, you're able to show your work before your thesis. I think that the goal is like, how do you get the grads practicing, mounting shows, collaborating with each other, and doing all of that before the thesis, because that could be very stressful if you haven't done it ever, and then we're like, put your thesis up. And the good thing at RISD, you do have help installing shows and all of those things. So the hard things if you've done it before, it's actually much easier, the process here. And we have experts in the field who will look at your work and know what would work best and how it should be hung in conjunction with the faculty. So we definitely think about you being a practicing artist and put that into the curriculum well before you leave.
Great. All right. All right. And then we have time for a couple more questions. This question's for you, Tyanna. Can you share some insight on your practice?
Okay, so my practice, I actually, undergrad was, I studied graphic design first. I was a marketing minor. I thought I was gonna do, I don't know, advertising. I really did. And then I was introduced to all these other mediums and I fell in love with metalsmithing. And then when I was introduced to screen printing first, I was like, this is everything, because it's the labor, it's the intensity, and it's a lot of work to get an image. And I really appreciated that I felt the satisfaction. So I went to, university for undergrad, a university for grad school, University of Wisconsin-Madison. And my field was at that time was a little bit more traditional. I was coming in like, like the oddball out, because I was like, I don't want to do auditions anymore. And they were like, what? And so I started really pushing the practice and thinking about printmaking as a field in general and what my place is. So my work now, I'm doing video. I do a little work with AI. I've been partnering with ChatGPT, making and also it's personal narrative, but it's still really 100% from the printmaking, like that's in everything. So specifically screen printing, large works on paper, installation, and I've decided that nothing's off limits. And I feel like if you are a printmaker, that's your like foundation. Anything you do after that just makes everything better. So I feel like it's good. But thank you.
Great.
Oh, that was a question about Brown.
Yeah, I'm not sure if any of you guys have insight on this, but what classes can students take at Brown?
You actually can take, we are cross-pollinated, RISD and Brown. So you can take any courses you want at Brown. Once again, if they say this course can be taken by a grad, you can take it. Sometimes courses are locked for just freshmen or just sophomores, right? So they'll tell you when you go to try to register. So I have students taking, what class, like science classes over there, if they want to take a math class. A lot of the classes that maybe RISD doesn't offer, people go to Brown, and it's pretty awesome. So Elisa or Maya, are you taking any classes at?
Oh no, I'm not taking any classes at Brown, but Tony, our second year grad, he's actually TAing at Brown. So
Yeah.
that's like an opportunity as well.
Yeah.
All right, and we got time for one more question. Do you provide co-op or internship opportunities during the MFA program? Where do printmaking graduate students typically work in the industry after graduation? Great
Yeah,
question.
we do have a lot of MFA graduates who work in New York, or not just New York, but anywhere where there's a professional print shop. They start their own, or some people teach, but we do have a lot of connections to a lot of internships and opportunity. And if we don't have the direct connection, we make the connection. So a lot of our grads actually come here and tell us where they want to intern. And then we do a little research with them, we connect, and then boom, they have an internship. So if you're like, that's what I want to do, and you don't know where to start, we do help you and we will get you right in that space. So we do have a lot of alumni in the field that we can just pick up and call or just go to New York. And so we do take trips to New York every year. with our grads, and so they can meet the connections, so they can have that direct. But yes, we definitely do. We have a huge list of alumni who have gone to so many printmaking internships throughout the country and beyond. So yes, I need to update that list. Yeah.
We have a very robust career center as well that helps
Yes.
organize a lot of this. We did a session yesterday with the Career Center that was recorded. So if you'd like a recording of that, just email us at admissions@risd.edu. Just dropping that email address here. They do events throughout the year. They do they bring people from the industry for the fine arts and designs. They separate it out for you to show your portfolio to people in the field. People have gotten jobs from that kind of career fair that they organize. And then once you graduate, they will continue to help you as well. So their support doesn't end just, once you graduate, which is wonderful.
And then last thing, do you happen to have the link to the career services for printmaking? I can find it too, but there is one that literally has a list of all the internships that
Exactly.
our alumni, yeah, our alumni have done, which if they've done it, that means you can do it. So
Perfect. And let's see here, we want printmaking. I have that right now. I'm gonna drop that in the link, the final one here. Perfect. So we're right on time. Again, if anybody has any questions after this, feel free to email us at admissions@risd.edu. Tyanna, I know you're happy to answer questions from
yes,
people.
I am.
If you email us, I can copy Tyanna to help answer those questions. I want to thank you all for your time. Thank you, Eliza. Thank you, Maya, for being with us today and sharing your perspective on the program and RISD. But yeah, that will do it for us today. Thank you so much.
Jennifer, thanks, Maya. Thank you,
Yeah.
Lisa.
Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck. Thank you.